Hi, I'm Ben Coleman. I am your instructor for MTI 559. I am excited to be introducing you to the course, and this is intended to be a hello and welcome and a brief overview of the course structure as well as what's expected for week one. My goal right now is to do this about once a week. I'm going to try to only talk for 5 minutes, which for me is difficult. And hopefully by the end, you will get some questions answered or at least know who the guy is behind all of these long-winded and circuitous posts on Canvas. So, first of all, you already read a little bit about me if you started the assignment, and I see that 4 of us have already completed it. Thank you. I am not going to spend a whole bunch of time talking about myself, although, like many of us, I am a teacher who is learning how to do e-learning, uh, remote learning, whatever, for my middle school students right now. We're on spring break currently, and that's why I will probably be posting a lot in week one, more than in later weeks probably, although e-learning gives us all a little more time to work with. It's funny, even I live about 20 minutes away from my school. It's funny even how much of a difference taking away that drive time makes. Just the business of getting in the car and going there and getting in the car and coming back eats up a decent chunk of the day. Anyway, so week one this week we start with advanced Google search. It's a tool that most kids, most of our students probably don't know a lot about and probably don't use. It's really powerful, especially when they have to search 4 or 5 times to find what they're looking for and waste a lot of time clicking on sites and deciding it isn't what they want. So anything that can increase efficiency there would really be meaningful for us and for our students. So I definitely think that's worth investing some learning energy into. Hangouts is going to be our opportunity to all sort of get together and talk. I also hope to do that early in the course to invite you to Hangouts later. If there is a time later in the course where you just want to talk, I would be happy to. I love email. I'm on my email constantly. I might not always respond immediately, but generally I'm going to shoot for about 2 or 3 hours response time unless I'm sleeping. Uh, but you hopefully, if you would like to talk to me through video chat, Hangouts becomes a tool that we can use later in the course. So, and that's my furnace. My little YouTube studio is in my basement here. Uh, week 2, we switch and start talking about YouTube. I have a couple YouTube channels that I'm going to share. You also have one if you have a Google account. You might not be able to set up a YouTube channel under an administrative or an enterprise account if they have blocked it for you. If you're using your school's Gmail or Google, they control what you can and can't do. So you might need a personal Google account. Let me know if that's an issue. I'd be happy to help with that. So I want you to have a YouTube channel at least to play with, and you can post things that are private. So you can post a whole bunch of stupid videos and no one will ever see them except you and maybe Joe at Google if he ever bothers to check. But they're private, and you can delete them later. So I used to worry about that. That's why I bring that up. After we talk about Google, or YouTube, we're going to talk about sites. Sites has changed drastically in the last year. So I'll show you the book that I was considering using as a textbook some months ago. It is a totally different version of sites, and most of the things that you do through sites have changed. So most written materials about it are outdated. Sites is a really powerful tool, not just for you, but also for your students. If you live in a Google environment, they can also create a site, unless, again, the person who runs your Google administrator has forbidden it. Sounds like a strong word, but that's pretty accurate. And Google Maps and Earth and Cultural Institute are the last second to last week. The final week is the reflection. And that's really your opportunity to sort of sit back and evaluate your own ability and comfort with the tools that we focused on. We will bring up other tools. Lots of things are going to come up. And I know I've already mentioned that I call myself a tech skeptic. I'm also kind of a Google skeptic. To summarize my position, I see that I've already gone over time. Maybe I can edit this a little bit. But to call myself that is to say, not all technology tools are better than every other tool out there. And with my own students, sometimes I need to hand them the paper and hand them the pencil or tell them to get out a pencil and have them do their work old school with old technology. I teach ancient civilizations, so the pencil is a technology. And that work is sometimes more efficient or more appropriate for what a student needs. We know from research, and I know we have at least one reading specialist or one reading teacher, we know from research that kids read differently and sometimes better on paper than they do on screens. We need to have that in our utility belt. All right? I love the Batman utility belt analogy. We can't let go of the tools that we have just because we got a shiny new toy. So let's keep teaching with everything we know how to do and still use our professional judgment to decide what to use. That's what I mean by a tech skeptic, is you gave me another tool. Don't tell me I can't keep using everything else over here, because this works, and this kid needs that, not that. And if you trust me as the educated professional educator, then let me make my own professional decision from all available tools and not just the technology. That's a tech skeptic to me. Having said that, Google is free. It's not hard to use most of the time. And if you already know how to use it and there's a feature on it that does what you need for the most part, just use Google. Don't go out there and spend 6 days learning how to use some fancy new website just because it's fancy and new, especially if you know that in 2 years it might not be available unless you pay a subscription. So I'm sure we're all gray-haired enough to have had the experience of using a tool that worked really well and then turn around and find out that now they want $79 a year or $12.99 a month to continue using it, or $7.49 per student account or something. So Google is a free option that is pretty useful in most cases when we want to use technology, but we don't have to. I think that's maybe my fourth attempt at summarizing what a tech skeptic is. And I think that means it's time for me to wrap this up. So, thank you for listening, watching this far. I hope that you noticed that I am not a YouTube ninja. I hope that you are already seeing ways that you can use or do better than what I'm doing with it. And I hope that you're excited about sharing some of your burgeoning expertise with all of us. And I did want to show this book. I don't know how you feel about textbooks in this kind of a context. Some people like concrete tools. This book is already about 50% outdated. This is the book I said that I was considering as a textbook for this course. There is no required textbook for this course, partly because they get outdated so fast. At some point in the next few days, I'm going to post some links, including a link to a blog where I'll have some resources, some people who know more about Google than I do, and who I go to when I have questions, and who can be really helpful. Last thing, I am on Twitter. I am familiar with using Twitter to find answers to questions, and I would encourage you to investigate that further if you're comfortable with that. I know that Facebook and Facebook groups can also be a powerful way for teachers to be connected and find information and share and help each other. I would consider or encourage you to do that if you have not already, to find some way to be connected. My last quote or comment to you is, technology changes. Other teachers are doing what you're doing mostly and trying to figure it out and sharing some of that learning. It's a great thing when you can become part of that sharing, benefit from others sharing, and allow others to benefit from your experience as a professional educator. Whew. So that's twice as long as I wanted. I'm going to stop talking now. Hopefully some of that was useful. I look forward to learning together. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you soon.